The number one New Year's resolution, get healthy. Many people think that the key to doing that is simply watching your calories, but that may not be the case. Today we're talking with Katie Maxey, a registered dietitian who is, I have to tell you, a real person. She's not one of those who tells you you can never have a certain food. This is the kind of dietitian I want to talk to. We're going to discuss macronutrients and how they may be the key for you to stay healthy. So what we want to do is we want to open up the floor for your questions. This is your chance to ask a dietitian those questions that you really want to know the answer to. 336-379-5775. You text in your question. All right, Katie, so let's start with this whole thing. What's the difference between macronutrients and calories?
Essentially, it's kind of the same thing. It's just how you're going about tallying it up at the end of the day, whether you're looking at just calories in general and getting those calories from whatever foods you want to get them from, or looking at actual nutrition, which is where macronutrients comes into play, of actually looking to see what is the nutrition in your calories and how is that affecting how many calories you're eating or not eating.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So if people know what calories are, they can look at anything on a box or whatever and see how many calories they're eating. But macronutrients, the 101, what are we talking about?
Okay, so macronutrients is what's making up your calories. So you have protein, you have carbohydrates, and you have fat. And so those three are the main, that's why it's called macronutrients. They're the main nutrients in all foods. So when you're calorie counting, you're essentially counting these three things, proteins, carbs, and fat. But there happens to be micronutrients in there too. They're just not adding to the calories. But we need all three of these, and we need different amounts of these three for our calories for the whole day.
Okay, and I think that's interesting because there's a whole lot of diets or diet programs which just like leave one of those like out totally. So
Exactly.
I'll be curious to see what the percentages are of the protein, carbohydrates, and the fats. So let's put up that graphic so we can see how much of each of these macronutrients do you actually need.
Yes. So if you look, most people try to eliminate one of these. You know, way back in the day, it was very low fat or little fat. And then we got to the point where it's low carbohydrate or no carbohydrate. But you'll notice I have all three of these. All three of these are essential, and that's why they are macronutrients. You need a certain percentage of protein for your actual muscles and your organs to function like they're supposed to function. Carbohydrates are our main fuel source. So you have to have, even somebody with diabetes needs to eat carbohydrates, which sounds crazy, but your body needs them. And then fat as well. We all need fat in our body for our body to function and for our fat soluble vitamins to be absorbed. So we need all three of these, and we don't want to eliminate any of them. It's just a certain percentage going in from our calories.
Okay, so when we talk about these percentages,
Mhm.
people may look at that and they'd be like, okay, but I don't know if that's how much percentage I'm eating. So how do you know that's the percentage that you're eating?
Yes. So tracking is so important. If you are not writing it down or plugging it into an app, you're never going to be able to know how many grams of protein versus carbs versus fat you're eating. And so I would find a tracker, like MyFitnessPal is one of them, for example, plug in the foods you're eating and you can hit the nutrition button and it actually will spit out macronutrients. It says protein, carbs, and fat, and you can see what percentage, and you can set goals on all of these trackers to hit a certain percentage for each of those macronutrients.
And what's helpful to me with that is that like maybe you're more of a red meat eater or you're a chicken eater or you're a fish eater or you're whatever. It doesn't matter. It's going to give you whatever the grams of protein that is. It's not going to say, no, you shouldn't eat that.
Yes, exactly. And what's so different about macro counting versus calorie counting is it will show you the differences in if you eat this piece of salmon versus this lean ground turkey breast, the difference in protein and fat that's in those. And you internally will be able to tell, like, oh my gosh, that salmon did last longer. And it's because there was more fat. The percentage of fat was higher in salmon. So you start to be able to tell how many calories are going in and why your body is feeling the way it's feeling. And you can kind of tweak and make changes based on the types of food you're eating, not just a calorie.
Okay, so that was interesting that you said that you're going to feel different. So what you're saying is when we eat the macronutrients that we're supposed to eat, we're going to feel fuller longer or we're going to feel better?
Yes. I mean, the goal is that you feel fuller longer. If you're getting all three of those in the percentage ranges, and you can work with local dietitians to help you kind of get those percentages where they need to be, you should feel different. If you're really tuning in and paying attention to your body, and after meals, you should notice, like, oh my gosh, that did not fill me up. I need to add more protein or add more fat, or I was way too full, that was too much, and you can tweak, but you really have to be paying attention and tracking and listening to your body at the same time, which is a lot.
Which is a lot. Okay, which is why those fitness apps or whatever the things that plug in help. Now, how do I like meal plan with macronutrients?
Yes. So first, when you start tracking, if you're plugging it in, you can see what your normal pattern is. But then the next step is to actually plan for the percentages you want versus just looking at what you did. You can actually plan, plug it in, plug the next day in, or what your week's going to look like with meals that you're planning, and see how they fit with those percentages. And so if you write down meals, go ahead and plug them in and track ahead of time versus only tracking what you've actually already eaten, and it's too late at that point.
Okay. All right. We can continue to talk about macronutrients. We can talk about calories. We can talk about what you want to know. You've got a dietitian here to ask a question. 336-379-5775. We'll be back after a few minutes.